This isolated continent has lots of secrets to tell, and many of them might blow your mind. Yes, there have been some really weird discoveries being made on the mysterious continent, and some of them have been revealed. Want to know? Let's go. Starting with number 10, Maury Man. What do you think of this image? Well, that's definitely not a crop circle or anything of that sort. The Maury Man's masculinity is undeniable, with just his lower region spanning more than 400 yards. No one knows who made it and what kind of tech they used. However, to indicate that size does matter. Anybody who can explain how the 4.2-kilometer tall sculpture, commonly known as Stuart's Giant, will get $5,000. Yeah, it's true. That's what the amount raised in 2018 by business entrepreneur Dick Smith to find out who was behind the artwork. What do you guys think? Are any alien conspiracies around? Number 9. Venomous cone snails. A cone snail is what this little guy is. It boasts a number of lethal features, including a poisonous harpoon for catching victims. The geography cone snail is the most poisonous of the cone snail species. The cone snail's extremely specialized teeth, known as radulae, stab and poison its victims like a combined hypodermic needle and harpoon. The snail's poison paralyzes its victim's nervous system, allowing the snail to move at its own pace to its meal. Because the cone snail's radulae are continually regrowing, it is rarely without its lethal harpoon fangs. Cone snails that chase fish must have a highly fast-acting and potent venom, or else the fish will easily escape from such a slow-moving predator. Some seek safety on rocks and coral reefs, while others hunt by burrowing in the sand and waiting for unsuspecting victims. Their decorative geometric shells are also a popular souvenir, posing a risk to unsuspecting divers and sunbathers. And guess what? Bigger species of cone snails have radulae large enough to puncture a wetsuit. Historically, if a person gets stung by a geographic cone snail and does not get to the hospital in time, 65% of them die. There are now known treatments that can neutralize the conotoxin venom of snails. The only cure is to treat the victim's symptoms and keep them alive until the venom wears off. So you better keep an eye out for it anywhere on the beach. Number 8. Giant four-legged kangaroos. That formerly roamed the Papua New Guinea highlands on four legs may have existed as long as 20,000 years ago. That's long after mainland Australia's large-bodied megafauna fell extinct. The study's new dating method shows that when humans first arrived in the New Guinea Islands some 60,000 years ago, there were still various huge animal species there, including the extinct thylacine and marsupial that resembled a panda. Surprisingly, two gigantic extinct kangaroo species, one of which bounded on four legs rather than two, may have lived for an extra 40,000 years in the region. If these megafaunal species did thrive in the Papua New Guinea highlands for considerably longer than their Australian counterparts, it might be because people only visited the Nombi region infrequently and in small numbers until around 20,000 years ago. Well, that's something we never knew, right? Number 7. The first true thousand-leg millipede. Isn't that something unusual? If you hate insects, you'll shiver at the sight of the largest discovery in Western Australia. Yeah, it's a millipede with 1,306 legs. The world's first real millipede has broken the record for the most legs ever recorded, outnumbered the previous holder by nearly 500 limbs. Although the word millipede translates to 1,000 feet, no millipede with more than 750 legs have ever been identified. We've been naming millipedes for decades, but this finding is particularly thrilling since it truly is a millipede. While the millipede takes the term creepy crawler to new heights, bushwalkers are unlikely to see one of these species because it lives underground. The insect was discovered while examining geological drill holes as part of a study into the pharmaceutical compounds produced by millipedes. While top scientists from the CSIRO's National Insect Collection work tirelessly to combat infectious illness, many of us are left wondering how on earth they counted all many legs. Cool, huh? Number 6. The Gympie Gympie Tree. Being stung by this tree is the worst type of pain you can imagine. It's like being burned with boiling acid while also being electrocuted. Well, this wasn't just said by me. It was said by a person who got stung by this tree. So you can trust the statement. The smooth and fluffy leaves of the Gympie Gympie appear unnoticeably and even attractive from a distance. However, this could not be further from the truth. This is one of the most deadly plants on the planet. A mere touch with its leaves is enough to cause unbearable pain, described as being burned with hot acid and electrified at the same time. To make matters worse, it might take months or even years for the discomfort to go gone completely. Some people have even committed suicide because the pain is excruciating. Number 5. The first hybrid sharks. Scientists discovered the world's first hybrid shark off the coast of Australia, indicating that some shark species may adjust to changing ocean conditions by interbreeding with one another. It's difficult to locate a wild hybrid animal, and to find 57 hybrids spanning 1,240 miles of coastline is extraordinary. Australian blacktip sharks are restricted to tropical waters around Brisbane, whereas hybrid sharks traveled more than 1,000 miles south to colder waters around Sydney. The researchers who were working on the government-funded study of the structure of shark populations along Australia's northeast coast first noticed something odd when they discovered fish whose genetic analysis showed they were one type of blacktip, but their physical characteristics, particularly the number of vertebrae, were those of another. And that meant there was some serious inbreeding going on. Number 4. Extinct cockroach rediscovered. When a University of Sydney biology student moved a rock from beneath a massive banyan fig tree on Lord Howe Island, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was a wingless, wood-eating cockroach that was only found on the World Heritage listed island and was thought to be extinct. It had not been seen in almost 80 years. The native cockroach was previously common across the Lord Howe Islands, but it was considered to have been extinct on the main island until rats arrived in 1918. Cockroaches were discovered beneath the first rock they checked under, which is unusual because entomologists have been hunting for them on the island for decades and haven't found any. The researchers discovered cockroach families all under one Byron tree. Number 3. The horizontal falls. You see, nature might always surprise us in unexpected ways, and a majority of them are so strange and incredibly fantastic, like these horizontal falls in Australia, that we can't help but be amazed. You must have only witnessed vertical waterfalls tumbling from a cliff up until now. Talbot Bay on the coast of Kimberley is home to Australia's most peculiar natural marvel. These are the only horizontal waterfalls in the world and are known as hories. Isn't it cool? The waterfalls are the outcome of peculiar tidal motions caused by turquoise water squeezed between two small canyons. The water banks up on one side of the McLarty Range cliff and runs quickly into a narrow corridor, giving a waterfall-like look. You also note that these waterfalls bend to the side. Guys, the awesomeness doesn't stop here. When the tide flips every day, the water begins to flow in the other direction. So the falls are not only horizontal, but also reversible. That's something, isn't it? Number 2. Largest plant discovered. The world's largest living plant has been discovered in the shallow seas off Western Australia's coast. The vast seagrass Posidonia australis, which is a marine blooming plant, spans more than 112 kilometers in Shark Bay, a wilderness region designated as a World Heritage Site. Because the plant clones itself, it produces genetically identical offshoots. This is an uncommon mode of reproduction in the animal kingdom, although it does occur more frequently in some plants, fungi, and bacteria under particular external conditions. Finally, we have number 1, the awo rediscovered. Yep, we have another animal that defeated extinction. Researchers have significantly recorded a rare bird named the black-naped pheasant pigeon, a solitary species which is native to the steep wooded slopes of Papua New Guinea's Ferguson Island for the first time in 140 years. For more than a century, scientists believed the species had gone extinct. However, in 2019, a survey team made up of indigenous Papua New Guinean and American researchers heard reports from locals of a rare ground-dwelling bird known as the awu stalking the underbrush. And this year, they finally got images of the long-lost species. So we have 2 animals that we thought to have lost to time. Anyway, what do you guys think? Well, Australia might be one of the most isolated continents out there, but this place never ceases to amaze us. Well, these 10 discoveries aren't the only ones. There's more coming, and for that, you gotta stay tuned to us. Anyway, do drop your views in the comment section below. We'll meet again in another episode. Until then, see ya.